Hey everybody, welcome in to GoBlueRaiders.com and the 2014 Signing Day Live. We are live in the Blue Raider Football War Room here this afternoon, or this morning still, I guess. Yeah. Chip Walters along with Justin Beasley. And Justin, for the next almost an hour, we'll be going through this and getting you up to date on where the Blue Raiders are from a signing perspective on this day, and show you some highlights of all the guys whose NLIs have come in so far. But just first of all, a little bit of background of where we stand going into the 2014 season, and that is that Middle Tennessee, after back-to-back 8-4 years in the regular season, will return 13 starters this fall, or actually as we go into the spring, which will start on March 22nd. But that's 8 defensive starters will return, 5 offensive starters will return, a total of 49 lettermen will return, and all of that's important when you start looking at what are the needs going into signing day, and that kind of thing, and the one of the things we'll talk to Coach Rick Stockstill about in a bit is Justin, that he has a formula that he knows on his roster of 85 players that he wants. X number of offensive linemen, X number of defensive linemen, X number of quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends, wide receivers, defensive backs, all of that. So that all being said, the recruiting is done. Not only are you trying to find the best players available, the most important thing is to recruit to the needs of the program, and also to fit your formula as far as having your roster filled out in a correct manner.
Yeah, not many linebackers graduating this year, but you see, 3 or 4 getting signed, and that's for the future. You see tight ends on offense getting signed as well, 3 of those. Not many classes have 3 tight ends, so you kind of see that that's the way the offense is kind of leaning towards the future, and that's where the need is.
Yeah, and you also you know that a tight end can be very versatile in Middle Tennessee's offense. So that's where that is. Just to give you an update of where we stand right now, there are 21 total letters of intent that have come in. That includes 10 midterm signees and 11 high school freshmen and junior college kids who have come in today. So a total of 21, which will tell you that there are a few that are still being they're waiting on right now, and that always happens on signing date. You're going to have maybe a surprise under the tree somewhere, and you might get a lump of coal somewhere. But that's just the way signing day goes all across the country. And but today is going to be a good day for Middle Tennessee, and it was already a good day when you look back at the 10 midterm guys. And Justin, just if you can, just on here, our midterm guys, that just kind of give some names and positions that we'll be seeing highlights on the midterm guys, and I'll give the new guys. So if you just read those names out.
Well, some of the midterm guys, you see Tyler Barron. He's already here. He's one of 3 tight ends. He's 6'4". 242 pounds. He's a redshirt junior, and you can kind of see this class is very balanced. As you mentioned, a lot of freshmen, but a lot of guys coming from junior college. As often as we see college teams dip into the JUCO rankings, to have 4-year guys from freshmen is a big deal as well.
Yep. You've got other midterm guys were David Adams, an offensive lineman, Jordan Frost Dixon, a cornerback, Cavellis Luckett, a linebacker, Patrick Martin, a safety, Marquise Shakir, an offensive lineman, Brent Stockstill, who is obviously a quarterback, Trey Wofford, a safety, Quay Watt, linebacker, and A.J. Wells, who is a punter. The new ones as of today include offensive lineman Robert Bahanan out of Fairfield, Ohio. We'll be seeing highlights. Ty Clemens, a wide receiver. Darius Harris, a linebacker. Richie James, a wide receiver out of Sarasota, Florida. Darius Liggins, defensive end, Oxford, Mississippi. Max Linder, a tight end from Ocala, Florida. You have Jesse Moffitt, offensive lineman out of Goodpasture in Nashville. Darrell Randolph, a cornerback from Pensacola. DJ Sanders from obviously a very good player. They named the town after him, Sandersville, Georgia. So Sean Smith, the tight end out of Summerville, South Carolina. Patrick Stewart, defensive tackle, Monroe, Georgia. And that is kind of just giving you the names and that you'll be hearing about over the next hour. So what we're going to do right here, and this is being online, kind of loosely formatted, we will be hearing from Coach Rick Stockstill at some point during the next 45 minutes or so, and we also will be hearing from some of our offensive coaches. I'm going to let you peel off and head over to what we like to call, what Bradley Lambert likes to call Studio B. And what you see behind me right now is the big board, and that is where the guys who have come in, that's where they stand at this point. While we get set up to show you some highlights, let's take a quick look at the upcoming 2014 Blue Raider football schedule just released earlier this week. All right, welcome back in here at also in the War Room, and Chip Walters and Justin Beasley. And Justin, time now for our first grouping of signees, and we'll kind of let you've been doing some studying on this, and so we'll see our first one, David Adams from Rolling Fork, Mississippi.
Well, what you have here with David Adams, offensive lineman, 6'3", 285 pounds. What really sticks out to you for him, he's a junior, so this year as he's coming in, he's already on campus. He'll be expected to contribute right now. As you've seen last year, if it wasn't somebody going down the backfield, it was a lineman that was going out, it seemed like every game. So this guy will have an immediate impact, if not starting, by the beginning of 2014.
Comes from Copiah Lincoln Junior College. They went 7-2 last year. Their offense averaged 33.5 points a game, and he was in the Mississippi-Alabama Junior College All-Star game, and so he is one of these big offensive linemen, 6'3", 285. And when we talk about offensive linemen, you know, one of the keys for middle is middle likes those offensive linemen. They'll give up some size to get speed.
Yeah, speed along with toughness. You see Middle Tennessee this year. Great rushing attack inside the Conference USA. Same last year in the Sun Belt. And with guys hopefully being healthy in 2014, you could expect David Adams to make an impact.
All right, Nathan, if we can go to Tyler Barron, who is a 6'4" tight end from Ormond Beach, Florida. And as we mentioned, he is one of 3 tight ends that are on the roster.
Yeah, and normally when you see a 6'4" tight end, it really sticks out. But you also have Sean Smith, who's a tight end at 6'7". So there's a lot of competition there at tight end this year. 242 pounds, a redshirt junior from Ormond Beach, Florida. You can kind of see the offense is kind of leaning towards using a tight end more so than they have in years past. You kind of seen them branching out last year, but with 3 tight ends in one class, you can almost guess that the tight end will be utilized in upcoming years.
34 receptions, 388 yards. He's from Ormond Beach, Florida, but played at Snow Junior College, which has a really good reputation for putting out offensive linemen, tight ends, offensive players. Snow is out in Utah, so he traveled from Florida to Utah, and now he is a whole lot closer to home back in Tennessee. Next up, Robert Bohannon. We will take a look at Robert Bohannon, Fairfield, Ohio, and that is just above Cincinnati. So the Raiders dip into the high school ranks. Typically, you get good offensive linemen out of Ohio, Pennsylvania, that area, 6'3", 300.
Yeah, that's an awfully lot of weight to carry as a freshman. Of course, he'll bulk up when he gets into the
and tighten up.
Yeah, tighten up everything.
Jason Spray and the crew will they'll be getting after it this summer.
You almost get done more in the off season here in college than you do in one off season. You do all of high school, and that's something that Bohannon will have, especially as a freshman, a 4-year guy. You always love to see those on the offensive line.
You can look there and able to open up big holes in the running game for Fairfield. He was listed as a 3-star recruit by Scout. His high school team went 9-1 and helped lead them to the playoffs for the first time in 9 years. And as we've seen in the past with, you know, a lot of offensive linemen that have gotten nicked up, these kids are going to get an opportunity to play early And you can never have too many on the roster.
No, you can't. And as a freshman, last year we had a couple of youngsters, especially at center, start some games when guys went down. So for him to be a freshman, be in the offensive system, kind of get the tactics down, there's a lot to learn on the offensive line, and that would be a big plus when he gets to be a junior and senior.
Yep, and look forward to seeing Robert Bohannon here. We'll go to our next guy. That will be Ty Clemens, wide receiver, 5'11", 181, Powder Springs, Georgia. Comes out of that very football-rich McEachern High School, and saw his signing day pick on Twitter. And he was looking good, all decked out. His mom made him put on a tie today, so he went to high school today looking good. This is a big day for these young men.
Yeah, Ty Clemens, he's one of those guys when his fax comes in, everybody got excited in the room. One of those, one of many actually today. He's a receiver. He'll play a lot at receiver here at Middle Tennessee, but get this, Florida State and Auburn had a lot of interest in him playing cornerback. So I wouldn't venture to say that he might find himself on the defensive side of the ball if cornerbacks go down.
There's some of the background information on him. He attended the 2013 Rivals camp by Under Armour. He was a Class 6A All-State selection in Georgia. Voted to the South team for the Georgia-Alabama North-South All-Star or the Georgia All-Star game. Played quarterback and at McEachern, completed 82 of 141 passes, and he is projected now as a wide receiver. And we can tell you a little bit of breaking news here is if you can switch back to us for a moment. That man right there, Javante Herod, running back from Kennesaw, Georgia, is now officially a Blue Raider. And I was told earlier by an assistant earlier this week, said if you see his name come up, that's going to be really good news for this signing class. Javante Herod is added to the list. But right now we'll go with one more young man before we see, and it will and we have one more that just went up. Carlos Johnson, also offensive lineman, just went up, so that is also a little bit of breaking news. There you see him from Pearl Cone High School in Nashville. You talk about good size and range, 6'3", 308. So, hey, a lot of these come in early, but the 11 o'clock hour is paying off some dividends today, isn't it?
Yeah, coming in at the 11 o'clock hour or 6 o'clock in the morning, either way, both of them want to be a Blue Raider. You see him from Nashville. He's a local guy and 6'3", 308 pounds. That's the second freshman lineman over 300 pounds, so that's good news. Having Carlos Johnson.
We're seeing him right now on screen, by the way. So Carlos Johnson and Pearl Cone, as everybody around here understands, Pearl Cone has been, they're typically known for being very athletic. Pearl Cone wears the red and black, so be looking for him, opening up a big hole there.
And one thing with Javante Herod, who we'll show you here next, running back 5'11", 215, not as tall as Jordan Parker, but you see the 5'11", 215 stature. That's a guy who can fall forward, get a lot of yards. And we've seen in the backfield, just like we were talking about the offensive line, a lot of injuries went down, and he could be a guy like Shane Tucker who plays a lot his freshman year.
And that says a lot about those kids, in particular this young man, Javante, or Mr. Herod, because he is, he's coming in. He wants to compete, and he's coming into an offensive backfield that has a lot of talent returning, and it's an offensive backfield and an offensive unit that has forged a reputation of playing physical and really taking the fight week in and week out. And Middle, when it has been at its best over the last few years offensively, it has been with a power running game, and it takes more than one guy. And
it's been by committee. It's also a guy who has to buy into, being a part of the team. Shane Tucker last year played a lot at the end of the year. Reggie Watley at times, he was one of the most valuable players on offense. And then you see Jordan Parker started out the year. He was injured a lot. So, I mean, you have to come in here in the backfield ready to compete and ready to, do everything by committee.
Javante Herod's numbers, again, 5'11", 215. 215. He is a true freshman coming out of Kennesaw, Georgia. North Cobb High School, was rated a 3-star by 24/7 Sports, rushed for nearly 1,200 yards last season, named first team All-Region, and rushed for over 1,000 yards and 15 touchdowns as a junior. So he is he is a guy that has continuously put up numbers and obviously comes off of a very good football team.
Yeah, that's for sure. A lot of guys in this recruiting class come from programs, I guess you would say, that have a rich tradition of winning, and that's what Middle Tennessee has kind of done. They've kind of dug a lot into Nashville that has a lot of rich tradition in winning.
Stick with us. We'll be showing you some more highlights in just a moment, and we'll be right back with one of our Blue Raider coaches and get a little insight on Signing Day Live for 2014. All right, Signing Day Live coming to you from the War Room here at Murphy Center with Blue Raider football today on the 2014 Signing Day. Buster Faulkner, Raider offensive coordinator, joins us, and you guys just put in unbelievable amounts of time and work to get to this day, and a lot of smiles walking around here today.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we're really excited about the class that we got coming in offensively. We've added some depth up front, some big bodies, some longer bodies. You know, we've added some depth at tight end. You know, we've got bigger and longer, and you know, we added some speed at receiver. You know, and then in the backfield, we feel like we got a great one, got a steal, and you know, and then at quarterback, which we've known for a while he's coming, but you bring in a guy that's going to come in and compete for the job instantly. So we're extremely excited. You know, we couldn't be more happier.
Let's talk a little bit about a couple of individuals. You mentioned a running back that you felt like you guys got a steal on, and that just came in moments ago in Javante Herod.
Yeah, we got his commitment, you know, late last night, and you know, we're just waiting on the paperwork and getting things through. You know, he had a bunch of offers, and you know, was committed to another place. So it was exciting to go in and kind of flip him around and make him a part of the family.
Has it been was going through the season and seeing what your competition was in Conference USA help define the type of players, and where I'm going with that, in particular with offensive linemen, because the Sun Belt was a league where the linemen might not have been quite as big, but everybody's lineman could run. Is that still the case today, or are we looking for a little more size now?
Yeah, we're looking to get bigger, but we don't want to lose that athleticism, and that's one thing about all three of those kids is we had them all here this summer in camp. We were able to see every one of them, and they're big kids, they're big, girthy kids, but every one of them are athletic. They can move just like a 250-pounder, you know, so that was probably the most intriguing thing about those guys, but we're real excited about them.
How has it been helpful to get as many midterm guys in, because there was a total of 10 midterm guys who have come in, and a lot of those are on the offensive side?
Yeah, you know, the biggest thing about that is when you're able to get, you know, the midterms, and especially your needs at the midterm, it's kind of like you didn't even lose a class. You know,
yeah.
You lost some guys, but they're already there in January. And I feel like at quarterback, we filled the need right there at the midterm. At tight end, we filled the need with the loss of Jacob Kerbali, and then 2 offensive linemen that got in here, and they're all going to compete for starting spots.
Yeah, and of course, you can with fans, you can never talk enough about the quarterback position, in particular when there's a starting job that's open, because Logan, obviously, the numbers speak for himself of what he did during his fantastic career here. But you've got 3 guys who are going to be fighting it out.
Absolutely. You know, I look forward to it. We got 3, you know, great kids. First of all, they all come from great families. You know, I enjoy being around them, and you know, they're going to compete for the job, and it'll be exciting. And you know, we look forward to getting this thing rolling.
From a look at style of play as we move into spring ball coming up in about a month, and taking into account who these 3 guys are, they're going to be running the show. Will we see much difference in the style of how we want to play?
You'll see a little bit of a difference, you know, but you're always going to see that. You know, you may see a little bit of difference with each one of these kids. You know, each kid possesses a different skill set, so you know, it's our job to find the best one and go from there, and that's what we'll do.
All right, Buster, good day. And like I said, a lot of folks jumping around here having a good time today. And you know, it's really good to see from a fan's perspective, that, you know, it's really good to see who we're battling with to get some of these really good players, and looking forward to seeing them all on campus.
Yeah, I can't wait to get them here. Good group of kids.
All right, Buster Faulkner, Blue Raider offensive coordinator, will be heading over to Justin Beasley, and we'll start to take a look at some more Blue Raider signees here on Signing Day Live 2014.
Thanks, Chip. We'll start in the secondary. Jordan Frost-Dixon, a cornerback, 5'11", 188, and he is a junior. And I tell you, this guy can play cornerback, and a lot of it has to deal with him competing in other sports as he did in high school. Lettered in football, basketball, baseball, and track. He attended Easton Area High School, 60 tackles.
He didn't play golf or tennis?
No, he did not. I don't think he had time, but he probably would have if he had the option. He's a guy that had 60 tackles, 4 for a loss, 2 interceptions, so a real big playmaker in the secondary, and he'll have a chance to contribute immediately.
Well, there you see him. He is one of these midterm guys. Came from Plainfield, New Jersey, and then Scottsdale Community College. Had 34 tackles, 10 pass breakups, and helped lead Scottsdale to a 10-1 record. And Coach Stockstill and his staff have really done an outstanding job of going in, and everybody has an immediate need now and then, and they've done a good job of filling immediate needs with some junior college players. But as folks look at the entire list today, it is heavy high school this year and across the area. But Jordan Frost-Dixon, boy, he is one guy who looks to be a fantastic athlete, and again, put a few more pounds on him, watch him grow another year or so. He's going to be an impact guy.
Yeah, and from walking past the football stadium, you see a lot of those cornerbacks out there doing pass drills, you know, your Kevin Byard. So for him to be under the influence of those guys, the juniors and seniors, the better the time, more so he's going to get.
All right, Nathan, who we got next? Darius Harris, a linebacker. Speaking of, a linebacker, Horn Lake, Mississippi, just south of Memphis, 6'2", 220 pounds, played quarterback and defensive back at Horn Lake High School, but projected as a linebacker here at Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, I played linebacker first 4 games. He was kind of injured last year. A guy that also possesses a lot of size for a freshman, 220 pounds. Had 50 tackles as a junior, 2 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries, and even did some stuff offensively, but defensively will be where his forte is here. Also played goalie on the soccer team, so I know you asked last time about the soccer player. Well,
there he is.
You have one.
We found him. He was listed as in the state of Mississippi in one ranking as the number 21 overall player and the 5th best defensive back in a pretty talent-rich state.
Yeah, and for him to have that size, you know, inside the Conference USA, he's going to have to really cover an open space. You know, you see your teams like Marshall, East Carolina, who are really pass heavy. That's one of the things that he's going to bring to the table. So
there he is, Darius Harris, linebacker from Horn Lake, Mississippi. So we'll move on now to James Ritchie, wide receiver out of Sarasota, Florida, 5'9", 165, played at Riverview High down in Sarasota.
Yeah, Richie James will play receiver here. Sarasota, Florida, a lot of talent coming from that area. A 3-star recruit by 24/7 Sports, a pretty reputable sports network. Played quarterback his senior year, so you can kind of tell he understands the route tree, and that will carry over into playing as a wide receiver. Passed for 422 yards, 7 touchdowns. So he knows a thing or two about being on both sides of the ball, whether it be the receiving end or the throwing end.
Yep, he was named to the All-Southwest Florida Regional Elite Team in 2013. He threw for 442 yards and 7 touchdowns, but he also rushed for over 1,000 yards and had 15 scores as a junior. 49 receptions, 727 yards, 7 touchdowns. This guy, very, very versatile.
Yeah, and that's a 5'9" guy that has 50 receptions.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot to say. You can kind of probably see that he might be a jet sweep guy, get it in the backfield, maybe even line up in the backfield some, and that has a lot to do with what Buster was telling you about how the offense will change year in and year out.
Well, and as a track guy, competed in the 400-meter, long jump, triple jump, and on the 4x400 relay team. And so this is a guy that does have a great deal of speed, because when you're involved in those relay teams, you've got to be a great sprinter, and this is a guy who might be able to get behind the defense. Darius Liggins is next. He will be a defensive end, a freshman from Oxford, Mississippi, and we'll take a look at Darius, and then we'll hear from Justin Watts in a moment.
And when watching this guy, Liggins, he has a knack for getting in the backfield, as you see there. Another 3-star recruit, first team All-State by 24/7 Sports. 17 tackles for a loss, 8 sacks. Those are pretty good numbers. 13 hurries as well, so a lot of that doesn't come on the stat sheet. But he's a guy that will really be able to pin his ears back with some of these pass-happy teams in Conference USA, and it'll pay off.
Yep, second team All-State by the Clarion Ledger, which is the Jackson, Mississippi newspaper. Earned Mississippi coaches all-region honors. 17 tackles for loss, like you said, 8 sacks, 13 hurries, and an interception. He was a nightmare for opponents' offenses.
And I hate to be repetitive saying that he ran track, but you don't know many defensive ends that run track, and that'll pay off for him at Middle Tennessee. Pinning his ears back against these pass-happy teams, that'll be a fun job for him.
So, interestingly enough, as a senior, 85 tackles. As a junior, he had 97 tackles, and in those 2 years combined, 27 tackles for loss and 15.5 sacks in his final 2 years of high school.
Yeah, pretty impressive there from Oxford, Mississippi, and a lot of guys, a lot of freshmen, a lot of guys from the JUCO ranks that will make a difference early and often.
All right, we're going to give you a quick look at the Blue Raider football schedule. Make sure you get your season tickets. It's a great schedule, and I'll be joining Justin Watts, Blue Raider recruiting coordinator, right after this. Signing Day Live from the War Room here in Murphy Center. Blue Raider football and recruiting coordinator, wide receivers coach Justin Watts joins us. And Justin, we had a couple come in during this hour that puts the total number of signees up to 23 right now. And let's kind of talk about and give folks just an idea in your position as a recruiting coordinator. There's so much of just coordinating, because you've got all the different coaches who are responsible for different areas, high schools, all of that kind of stuff. How much of your time does that entail?
I'd say a lot, but this staff is so eager to recruit and go out and be in the communities and go find these kids. It's really we divide up areas, and then after that, guys are fighting to go recruit their positions. I mean, we've got guys that really want to go out. Scour the southeast, try to find the talent, and then like as a receiver coach, I'm really trying to develop and build a relationship with those wideouts we're recruiting, and each position coach is doing the same thing. So we've got a staff and a head coach that really enjoys the recruiting process. So it's not that big of a deal.
I heard something on the radio this morning, and it really fits Coach Stock, and this was a national show, and they were talking about a certain coach and how he was not a head coach who just happens to recruit. He was a recruiting head coach, and the way that Coach Stock loves the process of recruiting, that sets the tone for the whole staff.
And I think that's kind of where, if you ask him, that's where he set himself apart when he got into the coaching ranks, was as a recruiter. And he instills in that in us every day. We don't go a staff meeting throughout the year, whether we're getting ready to play a ball game that weekend or we're on an off week, where we're going to discuss and talk about recruiting. We're going to try to attack it daily, control this state, and then branch out. But Coach Stocks involved in everything we do, offensively and defensively, recruiting-wise. And then, like I say, the position coaches are really working on trying to control their position.
Talk a little bit about real quickly going into this year, into this signing period, which included obviously the midterm. What were the targets? Kind of numbers. What were we looking for?
We've hit about our numbers that we went in initially looking at it. I think, what'd you say, we're at 23 now?
Yeah.
And that's right around we were. We may have fell short here at one position, but we were looking 12 offensively. We found a specialist at the midterm, and I think when you look at our team, you go watch them lift weights yesterday, and you watch them run. Just the fact that those 10 new guys are here at the midterm, it's almost like you graduated a class and you didn't lose a class. So it's going to be a big deal. You see more teams that are bringing guys in the midterm, and I think that's something that's going to be a big positive for us in the spring. But as far as the number-wise, we're about where we thought we would be.
And as you put on that coaching cap, you kind of touched on it, the importance of the midterm class, and you guys have 4 or 5 guys on the offensive side who are going to get that experience before going through the spring, and that's invaluable.
Yeah, you look at starting mat drills here in a week, and just those guys learning what Coach Stock still demands of this program, and that's just the biggest thing, is getting those guys to see the effort, the enthusiasm, the passion, the things that we do on a daily basis. I mean, we pride ourselves on those, and those guys have to learn what that's about. And you look at the 2 offensive linemen we signed; those 15 spring practices they'll get, that's invaluable. It puts them ahead, further ahead. The tight end and everything. So we're really excited about it.
And you can speak from experience, is that the intensity level, the excitement level, the jazz level of the staff, and with mat drills and all that, it's no different today than it was 8 years ago in the first time through.
I don't want to talk about that. You think about that now? No, it's an everyday deal. I mean, you guys on this staff coach with passion and enthusiasm. It comes from the top down, and Coach Stocks preaches it and talks about it, and that's what that's what he believes. It's what we believe, and eventually we win games because that's what our players believe.
All right, time for some highlights now from some more of our signees. And Justin, who we got up next?
Well, up next, we'll talk tight ends, the second of 3 that we'll go through today, and that'll be Max Linder, 6'3", 237 pounds. He had 29 catches for 446 yards and 4 touchdowns his senior year. As you see his profile picture there, from Trinity Catholic High School in Ocala, Florida. A lot of talent coming from that area, as you know, Chip. A member of the state championship team in 2010. So once again, a guy who knows how to win, is a winner, and will fit right in here.
Two-sport guy, football and baseball. He can even be a long snapper if needed. So that's kind of a nice thing to have there. Max Linder, 6'3", 237 freshman. He is the second of 3 tight ends we'll talk about. And then next we'll go to Cavellis Luckett, linebacker from Macomb, Mississippi. Great defensive players. We've been very fortunate over the years to get really good defensive players out of the Mississippi junior colleges.
And a lot of them come from Mississippi Gulf Coast. They were 8-2 last year, a number 9 ranking. But one thing that sticks out to me from Luckett is a guy we'll talk about a little later, Trey Wofford. They went to the same community college there in Mississippi. So I'm not sure which one had an influence on each other, but them 2 playing together obviously brings another level to this Middle Tennessee defense. 83 tackles, 8 tackles for a loss, and 2 sacks to lead them to that 8-2 record.
Yeah, he had 3 double-digit tackle games, so he's getting 10+. That's T.T. Barber numbers.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, to add a guy like that, to your list, he appears to be. I mean, his sack numbers are not huge, but that's okay because those great contained guys at his position in particular are going to fit right in, and he's going to get snaps.
And something hidden underneath that 3 double-digit tackle games is that's when guys around you aren't making tackles, and you need to make more, and you need a game changer like that who can kind of fill the void for other players.
All right, Nathan, what do we got next? Patrick Martin, safety out of Greenville, South Carolina. He is a Highland Community College transfer, 6'1", 210. Patrick Martin, and he is a midterm guy that's already here.
A safety, a playmaker is Patrick Martin, and one of the things after reading a couple of articles about him is he thinks his best asset is tackling in space, and that's one of the things he'll bring to this defense. And another thing, Martin will be able to play better football than he has these last 2 years because he's basically been recruited for 3 years since his senior year in high school, so a lot off of his chest coming to Middle Tennessee.
Some of his the numbers that you might want to hear. He is rated a 4-star recruit by Rivals, 4-star by ESPN, 2010 Shrine Bowl participant, earned scvarsity.com first-team All-State in South Carolina, named to the Mobile Press Register Southeast 120, and ranked 115th overall. Offensively, had more than 500 yards rushing, 6 TDs, catching 20 passes, 230 yards. On defense, he had 112 tackles, 12 breakups, and forced 4 fumbles and 2 interceptions. That all back in 2009, but in his high school career. But he will bring a very good junior college career back to Murfreesboro. Jesse Moffitt, offensive lineman, Good Pasture High School, and from Pleasant View, Tennessee, and we had a pretty good offensive player from Good Pasture a few years ago named Benjamin Cunningham, and he turned out okay.
Yeah, local guy seemed to turn out okay. He's now in the NFL, but Jesse Moffitt, talking to Buster Faulkner, and says, we're not giving up weight for athleticism. That's what you're getting here with Moffitt, only being 284 pounds, but he's a freshman. Hopefully will be a 4-year guy. He's a 3-year starter at Good Pasture, 86 tackles, 4 sacks, and 2 blocked punts as a senior. So pretty good all-around stats for him.
Yep, preseason mid-state top 25. Jesse Moffitt, good to have another local kid. As we've seen already, a couple of big local linemen that have had a lot of success in their high school career. So we'll go to Darrell Randolph, who is a cornerback out of Pensacola High School in Pensacola, Florida, 5'11", 174 pounds, and this is another corner with a little size to him.
Yeah, 5'11", obviously a big stature there. He'll play cornerback in Pensacola. They pretty much have speed all around that city, and one of the things that
there was a pretty good player came out of Pensacola. His name was what? Emmett Smith.
Yeah, he was something like that of that nature. But a thing with
a lot of good players come out of the Panhandle.
Yes, and defensively he's great. But one of the things I'm starting to wonder is if he'll play a little special teams. Somewhere on his tape, he has a lot of punt returns, so that's something that he could add in the backfield for Middle Tennessee.
Well, I mean, there's probably not many guys here who have had success on the offensive side of the ball, or the defensive side of the ball for that matter, that have not started somewhere their first snaps coming in special teams. And if you're a young kid coming in like Darrell Randolph, and if you want to get on the field quickly, establish yourself as a very good special teams player.
Yeah, we've seen at Middle Tennessee, just because you play defense doesn't mean you can't play offense. Just because you play offense doesn't mean you can't play defense. It's kind of, you don't want to pigeonhole a guy and his abilities, but playing here, any position really is available.
Can we look at one more? DJ Sanders, then we'll have Coach Rick Stockstill in just a moment. DJ Sanders, 6 feet, 192, freshman linebacker out of Sandersville, Georgia. Like I said, this guy is so good they named the town after him.
This guy is a winner. Comes from a winning tradition. His GPA of 3.9. So this guy, high character guy, is going to really add to Middle Tennessee's football team all around.
Yep. He led Washington County to a 13-1 record and a trip to the Georgia State Championship game. And our coaching staff, they like to get winning players from winning programs, and that helps continue the winning tradition here because that mindset's already there.
Yeah, he was a 3 AAA Defensive Player of the Year, a 4-year starter, and a guy who really hopes to do the same thing here.
He was tabbed the Atlanta Journal-Constitution 3 AAA Defensive Player of the Year, honorable mention All-State, Augusta Chronicle All-Area, first team as a wideout, played in the Border Bowl as a linebacker, and ran the 300-meter hurdles in the state track meet as a junior. So all in all, though, this guy's a terrific athlete.
Terrific athlete he is. Plenty of them coming in today as last year, and really to take away from this class, a lot of balance from the junior college ranks along with freshmen.
All right, quick look at the schedule. Coach Rick Stockstill joins me just momentarily. Hey guys, welcome back in to GoBlueRaiders.com, and Coach Rick Stockstill joins us. We've heard from some of the assistant coaches today, and Again, first of all, thank you for allowing us into the war room for the second year in a row. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's an exciting day for us here at Middle Tennessee and everybody across the country. So glad you guys were able to participate in it and see what we kind of go through on a daily basis.
We actually had a little breaking news this hour. Had a couple come in.
Yeah, you know, when you're time zone differences and all that, there's always that. And then just with the weather, we had some hang-ups with faxes getting through and all that. So really excited about this class, though.
Have you ever had a signing day go exactly as you expected? Because there's always ups and downs in any signing day.
Yeah, you have more that go like you expect than that you don't. So this one was a little different than what we anticipated, but for the most part, you know, they usually end up being how you expect them a couple nights before.
Did signing so many at midterm, having so many midterm guys, change the dynamic of how the January on-campus visits went?
Not really. You know, we still, had we not signed those guys in December, we were still brought in that position, you know, in January. So it cut our visits. You know, we had more visits obviously in December than we normally do. And that's a credit to our coaches. I thought our coaches did a great job this year. And then in our January visits, our banquet weekend was outstanding. And then the weekend after that, we had a good visit. So it went about as I thought it would go for the January visits.
Because, and I asked one more midterm question, but was that because you felt there were specific needs? And when the bowl game was over and you knew that those seniors, that was the last time they were going to play in a middle uniform, what did you feel like the biggest needs for this football team were moving forward?
Well, you know, obviously I think we did a great job of filling our needs in this class. You know, we got a quarterback, we were going to sign one. We got the running back, we were going to sign one. We got the top running back that we wanted, was on the board the whole year. We wanted 2 receivers, we got that. We wanted 5 linemen, and we thought we needed to get a couple older guys because of what Connor and Dalton going through off-season surgeries. We didn't know what their availability was going to be in the spring. So I thought getting those 2 guys at midterm were going to help us go through spring. We got a tight end, you know, to help us there from, you know, an older person, an older player there. So offensively, those were our needs, and we filled them. Defensively, you know, I thought we needed to get some linebackers, and we got some, you know, some really good linebackers that can run in there from the junior college. Safeties, the same thing. Corner, we got, you know, so I think we did a great job, you know, with our midterm guys of getting them here, of being position specific of what we needed.
Right now, we stand at 23 total signees. Should we expect anything else as the afternoon goes along today?
Well, you know, we could, that was our number. We could sign 23. We could go up to 27. We've got such a small class next year. You know, so I'm not going to take somebody just to take him to say we filled a need. I want it to be a special player. So we'll evaluate it. You know, losing, you know, we lost a couple, a defensive end, a defensive tackle, you know, here, you know, in the last, you know, day or two, that we'll look to try to, you know, replace those guys and fill those needs. But I'm not going to take somebody just to take them, because I really like this class, and I think we can use those. If we can't find what we want here in the next couple of weeks, that we'll just use it for next year.
In the NFL, you hear coaches and GMs talk a lot about being true to your board, and you being true to you, because we talked about it earlier on the show, the formula you have for the makeup of your roster. It's important to stay true to that. Otherwise, you could really screw yourself up real quick.
You'll get out of whack in a hurry. And like I said, we're going to take one quarterback, and that's what we got. One running back. We're going to take 2 tight ends and a fullback, and that's what we did. 2 wide receivers because we lost Tavares and Kyle. You know, we're going to take 5 offensive linemen because of what we lost. And that's what we did. And you go through it, same defensively. We lost a couple here, a couple there. We want to replace them. You always got to have the flexibility for that great player, that special player out there to make it work. You don't want to pass up on somebody like that, but you can't have too many of those guys or your numbers get unbalanced.
A year ago, we stood here and you talked, and you said that the impending move to Conference USA had been helpful. How much more was it helpful to go through a season playing in Conference USA, but more importantly, to put together another bowl season?
You know, it's we're in an incredible situation here. You know, we got a great school to sell, a great product to sell. You know, we're graduating our guys at 96% graduation rate. We've been to 4 out of 5 bowls the last 5 years. We're doing things the right way. You can accomplish everything you want here. So then you throw Conference USA on top of it with the TV packages, with the amount of bowls that they have compared to where we were, just adds that much to your ability to sell Middle Tennessee, and that's what we're doing. So, you know, we didn't have any problems recruiting guys or getting guys interested in Middle Tennessee this year.
One last thing, earlier this week, the 2014 schedule was released, and a lot of excitement, a lot of chatter in social media about how the schedule balances out and how excited people are. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, you know, I'm excited about it, of course. You know, I think it's pretty balanced from, you know, I know that middle part there. The only part I don't like about it is that open date before BYU and then an open date right after BYU. But I like our home schedule. I like our guys.
Yeah, we've got BYE, BYU, and BYE.
You're smarter than me. I couldn't have figured that out.
Coach, congratulations. Another great signing day. And just folks, keep watching GoBlueRaiders.com for the updates as we move along.
Appreciate you, Chip.
All right,
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Coach Rick Stockstill joins us. We'll take a break and get our final group of signee highlights in a moment. Hey, there's a guy we've seen on the sidelines for about the last 8 years. It's Brent Stockstill. Brent Stockstill, and who also introduced himself yesterday as a member of the Blue Raider baseball team. So here's Brent, number 7, in his terrific senior year at Siegel High School.
I've seen that firsthand, not only from a highlight tape. He's a guy that will obviously compete for a starting job next year. 3-star recruit, dual threat. He can run it, get out of the pocket, and I think we've seen in the NFL this weekend that that's a necessity. Absolutely,
and Mr. Football finalist. He was this past year what they call a gray shirt. That's why you see Brent listed in this year's signing class, because he basically came and paid his own way in the fall, and now is on scholarship. He is now able to practice, and as you see, he's just in physical qualities aside, maybe not a better leader on this list of signees today than Brent. Trey Wofford, safety, 5'10", 195, Fayetteville, Georgia. Whitewater High School, but Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, known again, producing really good defensive players.
Well, Trey Wofford, as I mentioned earlier, played with Luckett. He had 83 tackles, 14 tackles for a loss. Another one of those guys that has 3 double-digit tackle games. And the biggest thing that sticks out to me from him, 2 interceptions, both returned for touchdowns. Reminds you a lot of Kevin Byard, and he'll be playing right alongside him.
That's pretty good bookends. And he was Defensive Player of the Week, Mississippi Junior College Defensive Player of the Week. Had 83 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 14 tackles for loss, 2 fumble recoveries, 1 forced fumble, and in that Tyrone Nix defense, you need to be making plays, and this cat makes plays. Quay Watt, He is a linebacker from Abbeville, South Carolina, and out of Holmes Junior College, which is in Mississippi again. So the Raiders dip into the Mississippi Junior College system again and get a quality guy, 6 feet 210, and at linebacker, he is a guy who will put on a few more pounds in the weight room.
And he's already put on a few more pounds. He was originally a safety, added some weight where he could play linebacker, you know, kind of got into his rhythm in junior college. And a thing with him that you kind of see at linebacker is being a former safety allows you to, you know, kind of understand coverage schemes. And he's going to have that as a linebacker, kind of like a Christian Henry did this year when you face those pass-happy offenses.
Again, you know, Coach Stock likes these guys who are multi-sport guys because they bring an athletic component to the table, and Quay Watt brings you football and basketball skills and that athleticism. Played in the 2010 Shrine Bowl and earned All-State, All-Region, and Player of the Year honors. And we'll go to our final signee that we have for this program. That's A.J. Wells out of Buena Vista, Georgia. He is the specialist that was they were able to get at the midterm. 6'1", 180, a freshman. And, you know, it must take somebody very special to be listed as a signee. A lot of your kickers and punters, a lot of times are asked to be preferred walk-ons, things like that. But this coaching staff felt so strongly about this kid that he was given a scholarship.
And it's great news that he'll be able to start, have a chance to compete for the starting job. And if he gets that, you know, that's possibly 4 years that he'll be kicking for Middle Tennessee. Right when he gets on campus, he'll be able to, you know, compete for kickoffs, punts. It's going to be a competition there. One thing that I did read that he said, he only had 3 punts go into the end zone in high school, so he's a coffin corner type of kicker.
Absolutely, and that is exactly the way that Middle's punters have been. You look at what Josh Davis has done over the last 4 years and how many that he has put inside the 20-yard line, and that is an important thing for Coach Rick Stockstill. They believe in field position. They don't necessarily believe in punting numbers, things like that. But it's good signing there. So that's a look at all of the highlights that we have at this point, and glad to bring in Adam Sparks from the Daily News Journal, and Adam, you've had your finger on this for a while, and have listened to us go at it for about an hour. How accurate from what we're hearing is what you're hearing?
Well, I think anytime it's hard to judge these classes now. I know everybody's trying to put stars on people and you know, rank the classes and all that sort of thing. What I do is I like to look back at the past classes. This is Rick Stockstill's 9th class. If you look at what he's had every year, you know, with the Sun Belt Conference and now with Conference USA, I do a lot with the all-freshman team, and just about every year Middle has led in all-freshman picks. They had 2 last year. They've had as many as 4 or 5 in different years. So what that tells me, if you look at the history of where these guys end up going, they have an impact early. If you look at the last 8 classes, MTSU is going to have, Middle is going to have a skill guy that's going to get on the field immediately. They're going to have a combo guy, a linebacker like a T.T. Barber that's going to get on the field immediately as a true freshman. And probably as a redshirt freshman, you're going to see some good offensive linemen just because you look at the past 8 years, and that's what's happened year after year after year. You know, it just, we look at the best players coming back from Middle this year: T.T. Barber, Jordan Parker, Kevin Byard. What do they all have in common? They were all really, really good players as freshmen. And so I think you're probably going to see the same out of this.
Did you see take anything away from the large midterm class this year? Because it seems like they, to use an NFL term, got a lot of value out of the midterm class.
Yeah, I think one thing it tells you is let's keep the train going. You know, 8 wins, and I think the thinking is we've kind of got something that works. Let's try to just fill the gaps and keep it going. And I think one thing you saw this year in Conference USA is Middle Tennessee showed they could not only compete but contend. And I think going into this next year, East Carolina leaves the East Division, Western Kentucky comes in. Middle Tennessee will again be the top, you know, couple of teams in the East Division. If you feel like you have the talent, you just need to fill some gaps to compete, just sign some junior college players to do that, and I think they got some really good ones in the midterms.
If you could pick 1, 2, or 3 three guys that excite you the most of what you've seen. Who are they?
Well, I separate them between the midterms and the other guys. The midterms, Cavellis Luckett, the linebacker, 6', 240, big guy, big physical guy. I think he'll fit in right away. David Adams at guard, I think, is a big guy that could probably get some value out of. There's a couple of defensive backs in there that I like, and those are guys that are all of need. I think they filled their needs really well in the midterm. Of the guys that signed today, DJ Sanders, if you look at his film, sometimes high school film doesn't tell the story. I think it does with him. DJ Sanders, to me, looks like a guy that can play soon. He's a guy that hits. He's a guy that's physical. This has been a defense that kind of has an attitude about it, and I think DJ Sanders fits the mold. Georgia Tech made a run at him, and that tells you that they saw the same thing. I think Middle really got a steal out of Sanders.
Yeah, and I think when you look at how good Middle's running game has been the last few years, and it's funny because a lot of times Middle has the reputation of being a finesse team, but the way that they have won 8 games the last 2 years is running it right down your throat, and to hear that Javante Herod fits right in that role is awfully exciting.
Yeah, physical back. I think one thing, running backs are hard to gauge anyway, but I think when you look at the running backs that Middle has brought in, not all of them have been the 4-star type guy. This guy's going to play immediately, but they all have. I mean, Jordan Parker is a classic example of a guy that was one of the best freshman running backs in the country, and you thought he was a surefire red shirt when he got here. Something that the coaches saw, they felt like he could contribute early, and they were right.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for us today, and again, Adam will have plenty of reaction as this class becomes totally complete. You heard Coach Stockstill say that there are a couple of spots available, but he is not going to sign anybody just to say that they've signed. They have to be a truly outstanding player to fill those last couple of spots. But right now, the number stands at 23 signees in this 2014 class. I want to thank Justin Wayne Beasley, again, doing a great job today with some background information, but a lot of the work was done ahead of time. Nathan Wallach, Bradley Lambert, Mark Owens out of Athletic Communications, and again, thanks to the hospitality of the football staff for allowing us to be with you today, and thanks to Coach Watts, Coach Faulkner, Coach Stock, everybody who was involved in helping provide us with some background information. Keep watching GoBlueRaiders.com. More updates as the day continues, and thanks for being with us today for Signing Day Live on GoBlueRaiders.com.